The microphone almost hits him in the face. He doesn't flinch. Not because he's composed. Because he's somewhere else entirely. Standing outside his own body, watching this happen to someone who looks exactly like him. Mr. Caldwell, did you launder money through Germany? Did you steal from your investors? Are the allegations true? The questions overlap, blur together. The camera flashes are so rapid the morning sky seems to malfunction. Ethan Caldwell hears none of it clearly. The only thing that stays sharp, that cuts through every sound and every face and every exploding light, is the metallic click around his wrists. One FBI agent has his left arm. Another has his right. They move him through a wall of reporters pressed against metal barricades outside Blackstone Global Holdings, and somewhere above all of it, the company logo watches. That logo. The one he built from nothing. The one that used to mean something. Rain drifts through downtown Toronto. It darkens the shoulders of his tailored suit. Water slides from his hair down his collar. He doesn't wipe it away. He's not sure he's allowed to move his hands. 3 hours ago, he woke up expecting a board meeting. Now the entire world is watching him be escorted toward a black SUV in handcuffs, and every single face in that crowd is absolutely certain he's guilty. That certainty, that settled, unquestioned certainty, unsettles him more than the steel around his wrists. A reporter breaks through the noise. Mr. Caldwell, did you know the investigation involved 3 governments? His head lifts. Slowly. For the first time. 3 governments. Canada. The United States. Germany. The crowd erupts again. Questions multiply. Nobody is waiting for answers. He reaches the SUV. The door opens. Before he's inside, a woman near the barricade starts reading accusations directly from her phone, like a sentence already delivered. Money laundering, corporate fraud, economic espionage, illegal financial transfers. The charges don't sound like crimes. They sound like the complete demolition of a life. Ethan searches the crowd for one face that carries doubt. He finds none. Inside the vehicle, the city moves beyond tinted glass. Gray buildings, wet streets, traffic slowing as people notice the convoy. Nobody inside the SUV speaks. An agent reviews documents. Another watches the road. Ethan sits between them, restricted by steel, surrounded by silence, watching Toronto slide past like something that no longer belongs to him. Then he notices something through the window. Several journalists outside are no longer looking at him. They're staring at their phones. Reading. Refreshing. A ripple passes through the crowd. Expressions shift, not toward confusion, but toward something worse. Certainty deepening. Whatever just appeared on their screens is making this worse. Much worse. And he has no idea what they're seeing. The processing room smells like disinfectant and paper. A federal investigator places a thick file on the table. Then another. Then another. The stacks keep growing. Enough documentation to fill half the table, and Ethan stares at it the way you stare at something that shouldn't exist. You understand the seriousness of the allegations. It isn't a question. I don't even know what this is. The investigator studies him. No reaction. No sympathy. Only procedure. A folder slides across the table. Then start there. Ethan opens it. Financial transfers. Foreign accounts. Corporate authorizations. Approval records. His pulse begins to climb. His name is everywhere. Signatures. Approvals. Authorizations. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. Every page pointing in the same direction. Toward him, toward responsibility, toward a version of events he doesn't recognize but cannot argue against, because the evidence is sitting right in front of him with his name attached. This isn't possible, he says. Nobody responds. The investigator simply opens another file. More signatures. More transactions. More of his name on things he doesn't remember touching. Each page lands like a brick sealing a wall. The Joint Task Force has spent years building this case. Years. Not weeks. Not months. Years. While he was running companies, signing contracts, speaking on global stages, somebody was quietly, patiently, carefully constructing a case strong enough to bring 3 governments to the same table. The investigator slides one final document across. Ethan looks down at the signature at the bottom of the page. He knows that signature, because it's his, and he has absolutely no memory of signing this document. A chill crawls up his spine, and for the first time all day, a more frightening possibility enters his mind. Not that the truth will be hard to prove, but that someone may have already spent years proving something else entirely. The thought won't leave. He stares at that signature. The ink looks ordinary, familiar, undeniably his. But the memory attached to it, the moment, the context, the reason, simply does not exist. He turns the document over. Nothing. Another page. Another signature. Another approval he cannot account for. A tablet slides across the table. A financial news broadcast plays silently. The captions are enough. Blackstone's stock plunges. Global partners suspend agreements. Investor confidence collapses. Ethan's jaw tightens. Not because of the accusations. Because consequences are already moving without him. Outside these walls, contracts are being cancelled. Employees are reading headlines. Families are wondering whether their jobs still exist. And he cannot stop any of it. Would you like legal counsel present before continuing? He looks away from the screen. His reflection stares back from the dark glass behind the investigator. For the first time all day, he barely recognizes it. I haven't done this. The investigator writes something down. That silence is worse than disbelief would be. Because it suggests this exact sentence has been spoken countless times in rooms exactly like this one. The same denial. The same certainty. The same outcome. Hours later, after processing ends, Ethan sits alone in a holding room. No windows. Gray walls. Steel table. The faint smell of disinfectant. No reporters. No investigators. No shareholders. Just silence. And in that silence, something unexpected happens. Memory. Not explanations. Not answers. Just fragments. A small apartment in Vancouver. A leaking kitchen ceiling. Winter wind pushing against thin windows. His mother coming home exhausted after another hospital shift. His father through the front door with grease still on his hands. Nobody in that apartment talked about becoming rich. They talked about surviving the month. A younger version of himself on the floor beside a second-hand computer, half dismantled, fingers stained with dust, the room cold, but his eyes completely focused. Certain, with the irrational certainty only young people possess, that there had to be a way forward. The distance between those memories and this room feels impossible. Yet somehow, both belong to the same life. His lawyer arrives carrying 2 briefcases and a stack of files. Margaret Reeves, 58. Precise. Unflinching. One of the most respected defense attorneys in Canada. The expression on her face tells him everything before she speaks. This is worse than expected. She sits, places the files carefully on the table, then exhales. Ethan has never seen her exhale like that before. How bad? The evidence package is enormous. Not emotional, not dramatic, just factual, which somehow makes it heavier. Pages spill across the table. Account structures, transfer records, corporate authorizations, international transactions. The volume alone is suffocating. He watches her fingers move through the documents, organized, methodical, searching, and even she appears unsettled. That realization lands harder than any accusation. Because Margaret Reeves does not scare easily. Then she stops turning pages. There is something else. She slides a printed article toward him. The headline dominates the page. Forbes removes Ethan Caldwell from global leadership list. He stares at it. Not because of the ranking, because of what it represents. The speed with which the world moves on. This morning, he was one of the most respected business figures on earth. Tonight, people are already rewriting the story. As if the verdict has happened. As if guilt is settled. His fingers don't move. Then his eyes catch something. One company name. Buried among dozens of others. A subsidiary supposedly operating under Blackstone's umbrella. A company carrying his authorization. A company he has never heard of in his life. The numbness vanishes instantly. And for the first time since the arrest, a different emotion breaks through the shock. Not fear. Not anger. Sharp, immediate, dangerous confusion. Because if a company exists inside his empire without his knowledge, what else does? Ethan's eyes stay fixed on the company name. He has never seen it before. Not once. He slides the document across to Margaret. His finger stops beside the name. I don't know this company. She studies the page. The fluorescent lights reflect off her glasses. Several seconds of silence. Then she turns another page. And another. Something changes in her expression. Not certainty. Not relief. Interest. The kind that appears when a puzzle piece refuses to fit. Are you sure? Yes. She keeps reading. Faster now. The same unfamiliar subsidiary appears again. And again. And again. Far too often. The company isn't hidden. That's what makes it disturbing. It exists openly inside Blackstone's corporate structure. Visible. Documented. Active. Nurtured over years. Protected. Expanded. A company cannot become this embedded accidentally. Someone built this patiently. Carefully. Inside his empire. Inside his blind spot. Then a name begins appearing in the documents. Not everywhere. Just often enough to be impossible to ignore. Daniel Mercer. An executive authorization form. A compliance review. An internal audit record. The same name surfacing quietly, consistently, at critical intersections of the approval chain. Ethan immediately feels the resistance rise inside him. The reaction arrives before logic even has a chance to form. Daniel Mercer. 20 years of partnership. 20 years of trust. Boardrooms and flights and late-night strategy sessions. Shared victories and failures and entire chapters of life with Daniel somewhere in the frame. Daniel wouldn't do this. Margaret says nothing. She keeps reading. The silence forces him to hear his own certainty. And for the first time, it sounds weaker than it did a moment ago. The machine never stops. Every day brings another development. Another headline. Another collapse. The same footage loops across international networks. The arrest, the barricades, his name. Each repetition carves away another piece of public trust. Former allies distance themselves. Some quietly. Some loudly. The loud ones hurt less. At least they're honest. The quiet ones leave scars. A major European logistics contract is suspended. An American investment group withdraws. Several multinational partners announce internal reviews. Blackstone's foundations begin trembling beneath weight from every direction. Ethan studies the loss projections. The numbers are staggering. But one detail catches him. Employee projections. Thousands. Not executives. Not shareholders. People who simply work. Families attached to every number. Mortgages. School fees. Groceries. Future plans. The investigation is no longer destroying only his life. One evening he stands alone beside a reinforced window in a secured legal consultation room. Toronto glows beyond the glass. Traffic moves beneath rain-slick streets. Headlights smear across wet pavement. The city feels unchanged. as though none of this exists. His reflection stares back. Tired, older, and in the silence, a harder question surfaces. Not doubt about his innocence. Something else. Something that cuts differently. How could he have missed this? He replays meetings, approvals, corporate structures, entire years, not searching for guilt, searching for the gap, the place where something slipped through. Because a man can be innocent and still fail. The possibility unsettles him more than the accusations. Then a federal investigator enters carrying a sealed evidence envelope. Inside are communication records, authorization logs, executive correspondence. Margaret's eyes move across the pages, line after line, date after date. Then she stops, barely noticeable. But Ethan sees it. What? She turns the page toward him. Daniel Mercer's name appears again. Not once. Several times. Nothing criminal. Nothing obvious. Just presence. Consistent presence. Repeated proximity to decisions that later became part of the investigation. Like noticing the same face in different photographs. At first it means nothing. Then it starts meaning something. Then it becomes impossible to ignore. The resistance rises inside him again. But it arrives weaker this time. Daniel is not just an executive. Daniel is family in every way except blood. And trust built across decades does not collapse in a moment. It fights for survival. Even against evidence. Especially against evidence. Margaret closes the file carefully. I know. Those two words somehow make it worse. Then an investigator slides a document across the table. Not evidence. An offer. Formal. Prepared. Waiting. Accept responsibility for oversight failures. Cooperate. Reduce exposure. Reduce sentencing risk. The language avoids direct admission of the crimes themselves. A carefully constructed bridge. One that leads away from the edge. At a price. Ethan looks at the paper. Then at the evidence covering the table. Then at Margaret. No one tells him what to do. No one can. The choice belongs entirely to him. He slides the offer back across the table. Away from himself. No. The word is quiet. But it lands heavily. The investigator gathers the document. No debate. No persuasion. Only procedure. The paper disappears. The door closes behind him moments later. And with it, an opportunity. Gone. Margaret breaks the silence carefully. They'll come harder now. Ethan nods. Not because he's brave. Because he already knows. Then something shifts. Margaret is reviewing documents from Germany when she stops. A long pause. The kind that makes the room hold its breath. There may be a problem with one of the signatures. The words hang in the air, yet heavier than everything that came before them. Because for the first time since the arrest, the question is no longer whether the evidence exists. The question is whether all of it is real. Ethan doesn't move. Neither does she. The document remains open between them. A single signature. One among thousands. What do you see? Margaret's fingers trace the space around it. Not the signature itself. The margins. The metadata. The authorization sequence surrounding it. This signature appears before the approval chain exists. The sentence sounds impossible. She turns the document toward him. A timeline appears beside the authorization record. The sequence is designed to move in order, one step leading to the next. But this one doesn't. The signature appears before several prerequisite approvals occur. A small discrepancy. Almost invisible. Yet impossible. If one signature is compromised, every assumption attached to it becomes unstable. Margaret immediately gathers more files. The pace changes. No longer defensive. Investigative. Hours disappear. The stack of question documents grows. A second signature. A third. Not identical problems. Similar ones. Tiny fractures inside what once appeared solid. The structure behind the fraud begins emerging. Not fully. Only in pieces. Enough to understand its sophistication. Years of planning. Years of concealment. Years of exploiting trust. Someone built this patiently. Carefully. Inside Blackstone. Inside his empire. Inside his blind spot. Authorized signature templates. Copied, inserted, repeated, hidden inside legitimate corporate workflows. If someone possessed access deep enough to replicate executive authorizations, the fraud is bigger than anyone imagined. And whoever built it sat very close to the center. Then Margaret slowly turns a final page toward him. A systems access review. The page identifies which executives possessed clearance levels capable of authorizing the signature architecture involved. The list is short, dangerously short. Ethan's eyes move down it. Then stop. One of the names belongs to a man he has trusted for 2 decades. Daniel Mercer. And according to the report, Daniel possessed exactly the level of access required to make everything possible. The page remains between them. Neither reaches for it. Neither speaks. Rain taps softly against the office windows. Toronto glows beyond the glass. Muted. Distant. Almost unreal. For a long moment, Ethan simply stares at that name. Not because he needs to read it again. Because he wishes he didn't. Margaret eventually closes the file. Carefully. The sound is small. Yet final. Not because everything is finished. Because some questions no longer need asking. Ethan lowers himself into a chair. His shoulders sag slightly. Not from defeat. From weight. The kind accumulated one document at a time. One betrayal at a time. The official findings arrive. The forged authorization network is verified. The digital replication scheme is verified. The manipulated approval chains are verified. The fraudulent subsidiary structure is verified. One finding after another. Precise. Documented. The same system that once pointed directly at Ethan now begins pointing elsewhere. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. Slowly. Like a massive ship changing course. Daniel Mercer never stands beside Ethan again. No confrontation comes. No emotional confession. No dramatic explanation. Only absence. An absence that settles into every memory Ethan possesses. Boardrooms feel different. Old photographs feel different. Conversations preserved in recordings feel different. 20 years rearrange themselves silently. That's what surprises him most. Not the betrayal. The way betrayal rewrites history. The accusations collapse. The case against him unravels. Governments adjust findings. Investigators redirect responsibility. News networks issue corrections. The headlines become quieter. Then quieter still. Eventually they disappear entirely. Yet silence does not restore reputation. It only replaces noise. One afternoon, Ethan returns to Blackstone Global Holdings. The building rises exactly as it always has. The lobby is still polished. The elevators still move. Employees still cross the marble floors. But something fundamental has changed. Not the building. People nod respectfully. Some offer brief smiles. Some avoid eye contact. Nobody knows what to say. Neither does he. He walks through his office slowly. Not inspecting. Remembering. His hand brushes the back of a chair. A conference table. A framed photograph. Ordinary objects. Suddenly unfamiliar. The room smells faintly of paper and polished wood. The silence inside it feels honest. For the first time in months, nobody is asking him a question. Nobody is demanding an answer. Nobody is deciding his future. Then his eyes settle on a stack of documents waiting on the desk. Routine approvals. Ordinary business. The kind of paperwork he has signed thousands of times throughout his career. He doesn't reach for a pen immediately. Instead, he opens the first file. Then the second. Then the third. Reading. Carefully. Slowly. The afternoon light fades across the city outside. Rain begins again, soft against the glass. The office grows dimmer. The building around him becomes quiet as employees leave for the evening. Eventually, only the distant hum of ventilation remains. Nothing dramatic happens. No speech. No celebration. No applause. Just a man sitting alone in a high office overlooking Toronto, reading every single line before he signs his name. And beyond the window, the city continues moving through the rain. If this story stayed with you, if you felt every turn, every silence, every betrayal, then you're exactly who this channel was made for. We tell the stories the world moves past too quickly. The ones that reveal something true about power, trust, and what it actually costs to survive both. Hit subscribe, because the next story is already waiting and you don't want to miss it.